Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for ThermOWeb, and I'm here to share with you this layout that I created using some of the new goodies that are available in the store. This is the full layout, and I'm going to teach you how you can use the StampnStencil collection, and this is the Wishing You Joy collection, along with some of the new flock, and create some fun ornaments for a scrapbook layout. So what I did was I used the ornament stamp, just the solid with the pink, and I stamped that. Then I used some pixie spray on the back of the Wishing You Joy detail stencil, and I'm going to use the stencil to apply some transfer gel to the, I'm going to call them swishes or the stripes that are in this ornament. And I'm using my stencil pal in order to apply that. The leftover I'm going to put back into the jar, and you do have to be careful how you pull up the stencil so that you can not get things smudged as you do remove the stencil. So I do recommend you hold down the paper and then pull up and peel quickly, kind of like pulling off a band-aid. Then I'm also going to add the berries to this foliage and do the exact same thing. The pixie spray is behind that as well so that it does stick nicely and things don't smudge. So I'm going to leave that and set that aside to dry, and I'm going to let that dry for until it is clear, till that transfer gel is clear. You can heat up the process by using a heat gun as well. There are two ways that you can apply the flocking. You can do it through your manual die cut machine. So here I have the pink Carnation. Actually, I'm sorry, that is the ruby red flock, and so you can see how that then sticks to the berries that have dried. I'm going to use some of my purple tape to adhere the coordinating craft die and then cut out the shape, and that will be one of many pieces of foliage. Now, the other way you can do that is you can also run this through a hot laminator. I much prefer the hot laminator. I happen to have a hot laminator, and I feel that I am better able to get application of that flock as well as the foil to these things. So you can see all of the different leafy pieces that I have there. Some of them I'm going to add that ruby red flock to, and others of it I'm also going to add some of the red velvet fancy foils from Gina K. So that is the ruby red on pink. What you want to make sure that you do is cut just a piece to size and then run it through. I do use the flock and the foil again if I can, especially for those little teeny tiny berries, and you'll see me run that through multiple times. One of the things that you have to remember when you're adding the flock is you want the flock side down onto the transfer gel, but when you're doing the foil, you want the opposite, and you want the shiny color side of the foil away from you and the plain side of the foil down. It's two different things that you're doing. On the flock, you're actually wanting to leave the texture of the flock into the design, and then the color is what pops up, stays up at you, and then it's the reverse for the foil, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to run a million of these through, and I will spare you the agony of having to watch all of that. But again, this is using the hot laminator. I do like to plug in my hot laminator before I need to use it and let it warm up for about 15 minutes. So I do recommend that you do that. This particular hot laminator does stay hot. As long as that green light is on, things are fine to run through. So after I have done that part, I am then also going to use more of the stamps, the clear stamps, and add a little bit more decoration to those ornaments. But before I do that, I do need to run everything through my manual die cut machine and with the dies and get the outlined shapes. You could fussy cut them if you wanted to, but it's much faster to run them through a manual die cut machine. So I like to use purple tape, and I usually have purple tape hanging off of my manual die cut machine. Even though I have the magnetic platform, I do find that things tend to shift. So by using the purple tape, I prevent that shifting and prevent creating more work for myself. So that is the ornament. And I love with the ornament that it does also leave the space for the hanger at the top there. If you decided you didn't want a hanger or you wanted to create a metal hanger instead of a stamped hanger, you could also just snip that off quite easily with some scissors. So you can see I made 4 ornaments here. I made a pink with pink flock, a light pink with the ruby red flock, a white ornament with the ruby red flock, and then I also made a pink and gold foil flock. If you head over to my personal YouTube channel, you can see the process video on how I used these goodies in creating the actual process video of this scrapbook layout. Now I'm going to run, I think there are going to be 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2, so 14 times I'm going to run this through, and again I will spare you the agony, but that is the berry flocked and foiled foliage. So again, each time I just run it through and I use a little bit of that purple tape in order to adhere it down to my magnetic platform. So that is everything complete. Now I want to use the stamps, the clear stamps, and just add a little bit more gold to this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use there are those 2 bands that look kind of like waves. And they are perfectly spaced on the sheet, but when you pull them up, they aren't. So what I did is I flipped it over on the design, and then that way I was able to perfectly get that perfect spacing without needing to worry about lining them up. I'm going to stamp red here on the gold foil one, and that's just going to add a little bit of added design to that. And then I'm going to clean off my stamp and then add some gold onto the white ornament. The idea had been to incorporate a little bit more gold into this whole layout for some holiday shimmer, but that gold ornament, I actually end up omitting. A, I don't have room on the page for it, and B, that quantity of gold by itself kind of stood out like a sore thumb, which is why I left that. So I've cleaned off those stamps and I'm going to put them away. Now I want to put the little hangers on the ornaments, and so I am going to get that stamp, put it in black. And the nice thing about this stamp is that it stamps directly over the foil as well as the flock, and you can't really tell that I've done that and truncated it. And in order to be able to hang the ornaments, I am going to now get a hole punch, and it's a small hole punch, not a standard size, and just put that through the top, and now I have a place from which to hang my ornaments. So that, my friends, is a tutorial of how to use the ThermOWeb and Gina K Designs goodies. Some new flock colors have come out, and they are just absolutely awesome. I like that they're sort of more muted colors from the bright ones that came out this summer. So be sure to head over to my personal channel and you can see how that layout comes together. Enjoy the close-ups. Thanks for stopping in today. Take care.